kind of like understanding that you can't do everything.
Right.
You can do what you're good at, and then bring in other people.
Yeah.
That's how I work. I mean, I tend to feel that it's great to find the client, meet the client, acquire clients, and I know what I'm good at, but I know what I need assistance with to make it better. They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
You know, in a funny sort of way, but you can bring into the conversation that you work with other people about perception. You know, you've got good contacts. I've just launched something called a website called navigilant.com, all right? And it's ESG. Do you know what ESG is? Anyone heard that? It's a moving kind of like program of countries and governments learning about environmental, society and governance. So it's making sustainability a very important part of their strategy and where their money goes. And this company is like a SaaS product, so sold as software, and they brand their own software they've designed, and then they basically sell it to governments to tell them how they can save money from a sustainability point of view, from an environmental point of view, from a society. So society is about people, governance is about how the country's run, and environmental, obviously, you know, being green. It's really interesting what they offer, but that comes at a high premium, you know, because you're talking to governments, you know, you're talking about big numbers effectively to be invested upon, which is a responsibility, you know, to win. If you win a big budget, you know, you've got a big responsibility to deliver what you say you can deliver. And I think it's right from the off, from a web design perspective, it's understanding the requirements of what they want. And that could be, well, we like the look of this website, we like that functionality, we like those colours, and suddenly you've got three things there. You've got web development, you've got visual identity, and you've got web design developing. So, and I know I can deliver that. So I'm in a comfortable space, you know, instead of thinking, oh, hang on, the web development part of it, I don't know how to do that. There's no point in me saying yes, and long term down the road, getting rather pressured from the point of view of not being able to deliver that particular part of their requirements, because they really like that. They really want that carousel that's going to like popping at you. Learning about what a client's thinking is a real art, I think. And it's lots of listening as well as answering questions. Find that balance, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's that's just a little bit. Shall I give an introduction as to what I do?
Might as well. I mean, this is what we want to hear. How you are operating as a business, you know, as you know, how do you deal with clients? These are the tricky things. And when some of us are going into business, some of us are, you know, moving into employment. But for the purposes of this module, we are thinking like entrepreneurs, and we want to find out how you think.
Okay, I'll go right back to my very first job. All right, my very first job, I was an apprentice. I was an apprentice at hairdressers, and that hairdressers was Vidal Sassoon. All right, I'm sure you've heard of Vidal Sassoon, the hairdressers, global brand. At the time, the world's most famous hairdressers, and probably still is. My very first day as an apprentice, we were all lined up in our uniform, and we were shown how to A, fold a towel, B, sweep the floor, C, make a cup of tea. All right, so that sounds quite, you know, quite low down on the kind of work level. But what it was, as time goes on, you realise it's a test to see if you can be asked to do something and do it. And those that didn't want to do it, quite clearly weren't right for that particular programme. There were 60 of us taken on, and 3 years down the line after the apprenticeship, and it was all mapped out. Every 3 months you did an exam, a haircut, or some piece of hair up, or extensions, or colour. You'd have one opportunity to take the test. If you failed it, you have one more, and then you were asked to leave the company. 3 years later, there was only 2 of us left out of 60 people that were taken on.
Wow.
So it goes to show you, it's not for everyone, but if you can take kind of like, you know, if you can listen and work well with people in a calm manner, you'll get on with people. And that's the first hurdle. You know, from that I then career changed into radio and journalism, and did radio presenting on a music radio station. I then also worked at big publishing houses called Future Publishing, now called Future. I left there, and in that place I was doing traffic management, which is online advertising and positioning the adverts around their websites.
Which year was this?
This would have been back in the 90s.
I thought
the 90s.
so. That's really online advertising.
I know I'm quite an aged
No,
character,
no,
but
not
a lot of people say don't know your age.
right?
I'd say that's a compliment, that's fine. But from that, I then decided to think to myself, well, what do I really like? What do I really want to do? You know? And I really love music. So I managed to get myself a job as head of digital at Ministry of Sound.
Okay.
So Ministry of Sound had a website, and it was up to me to sell the advertising around the website. It was up to me to basically forge relationships with online agencies, advertising agencies. It was up to me to go out there and find budget. And that was where my skills were developing from a point of view, if you like, acquiring conversations and meeting people with similar interests. You know, like for example, we work with O2, Vodafone. You can see they have a fit with young people, a fit with a nightclub. You're in a nightclub, you've got your mobile phone. It's part of your uniform, if you like, your outfit. So there's a fit there, and they just moulded the campaigns to speak to the 18 to 24-year-old kind of demographic. You know, win some, airtime, and also have the chance to go to Ibiza. You know, that kind of thing. It's just a real way it works. So Ministry of Sound was really an exciting place to go to. The Christmas party lasted for 4 days. You know, it was just a lot of fun. But also at a serious level. It was a business, and that business was basically a nightclub, a record label, events and tours, and obviously merchandise. So there was a lot going on there.
Now it's just events and probably merchandise.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, totally. I mean, we were at the business side of the thing, and you know, it's thoroughly entertaining. And after that, I did a little bit of consulting. I was developing my kind of skills, and I found myself working at Channel 4. The TV company, and what we did there was we set up something called an advertising digital sales house. So we leveraged the power of Channel 4's contacts, and we then set up a sales house within them. So we went to BT and Thomas Cook, now called TUI, and we would sell advertising on their websites. But we sold it something called performance advertising. So they would basically buy in the thousands of advertising inventory. So you can imagine a website like BT has, hundreds of thousands of regular clients, but millions of people view the website, probably on a monthly basis. And they put some adverts around their kind of content, and we sold those adverts. But BT wouldn't know what advertisers they were buying. So it's called a blind buy. They would buy like 5 million impressions of an advert. And we would basically then factor and optimize using the software we had to position adverts that are relevant to their demographic, but wouldn't be a competitor, for example.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've got many websites, and there's loads of adverts around. Sometimes they're brand adverts. The publisher knows what advertiser is going to be appearing on the site, and they might have, say, 5 million page impressions a month. 3 million of that's bought at brand, but they've still got 2 million left. So what they're going to do, they want to sell that extra inventory as a blind buy to an advertising sales house, who have a whole load of adverts to move, but they don't know what adverts are going to be coming. They're agreeing a blind buy. You're buying the inventory, the remaining inventory. So it's a lot lower in price as such.
This is quite technical, but it's giving us some insight to how online advertising works behind the scenes.
I'll talk you through from the point of view of that kind of stuff in a second. But if I went and then after all that, I thought I've actually gained some knowledge here. I'm developing a real interest in the digital kind of world, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to go down that road and set up my own web design business. What does that mean? What do you think a web design business does? I'll ask you that question.
I think a web design business displays what the business wants to have on their website, so the way it's structured.
Yep.
colours used. What else?
I mean, if you're looking to develop a business, do you think you need a website? Depending obviously on the business, of course. But your majority of businesses require some sort of online presence nowadays. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I would say that.
Yes. Okay. So you're a business and you want to kind of promote your business to acquire clients, don't you? I mean, really, ultimately, that's what you're looking for. Or you're offering a service, or you're offering some sort of kind of like, you know, some sort of kind of journey for someone to come onto your site to give valuable kind of like interaction in some capacity. So the key thing is, how do you, if I've got my own business, or you've got your own businesses, how do I acquire clients? You know, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest hurdles, you know, that we have to go through, and maintain that relationship and develop that relationship. You know, I often say to my clients, once I've found the client and I've developed a business with them, and we've agreed a contract or an agreement, and the website goes live, it's like, is that the end of our relationship? No, it's just the beginning. We've done all the technical stuff. Now we've got to, you know, make the website be found, you know, referred, get traffic, run kind of campaigns, spread the message from a newsletter capacity. So you will, you know, it's understanding once you've got the clients. So I'll go back to saying acquiring the clients. It's kind of like, it's word of mouth really is the way I seem to kind of like develop my pipeline, if you like, of clients.
And your first client? Tell us about your
My first client was a company called NAS Services, and they sold into events companies, and they sold the tickets. So you know when you come in sometimes, similar to kind of like this pass here, it's printed off through a machine. So they give you this kind of a ticketing kind of like solution. Regardless of the technology they use, it was a ticketing solution for live events. Okay, they would print off, you know, exhibitions and stuff like that. Your name would appear, your picture would appear, and your company would appear, and it's done in front of you, and it's put in a little plastic wallet and it's put around your neck. So they do that. They had that solution, that hardware and software to deliver, and it was a brand kind of like message. He wanted to get his company out in the marketplace, in what was quite competitive. So he had I said I've got a logo, and I've got a few kind of pictures of some products that I want people to use and possibly to buy off me. I was like, okay. So it was a case of like, okay, let's start right at the basics. What's the name of the company? And have you got a domain name? And do you have a visual identity? And let me put that out there. What do you think a visual identity is for a business?
Logo.
That's part of it.
Should I say colour?
Exactly. The visual identity. University of West London has a visual identity.
Blue.
Blue is the colour, yeah? Right. So it's understanding the primary visual look of the site. The logo is part of it, that you want that logo to pop out of the page. The colours, the font choice, the images, the iconography, if you like, you know, all different icons you might want to use in the site. There are elements, if you like, that are going to bring NAS services alive. Remember, you know, we've got a screen we're all dealing with. It looks like that on a laptop or a computer, or basically on a phone, which is like portrait. Okay, we can do a landscape, or as tablets, etc. We can use. So we're quite limited in space. We're quite limited in space where we can give that first impression when you log on to a website. You know, Apple, for example. Right? We all know Apple. I know it's for you, but who's PC? Who's Apple?
I'm PC.
You're PC.
So when it comes to computers, it would be Windows, yeah.
VC. Apple, thank you. And Apple. So 2v2. Okay, so we'll split right down the line. All right. So when it comes to kind of like, Apple, when you go on the site, let's look at, how does it make you feel?
We were looking at the website last week. Yeah.
How does it make you feel? What do you look, when you look at Apple, what do you feel straight away? Clean?
Professional, somewhat inviting,
Yeah.
in a sense. It's very white, I would say, in color. It's minimalist. It gives a sense of quality.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it, but in that sense, it really.
Yeah, I mean, it engages you.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's from a web design perspective. There's so much more, in my opinion. How I look at it. There's no doubt about it. Apple has developed a very strong online retail presence throughout the world. There's no doubt about it. What it has for me when I look at it, it has brand trust and reputation. I look at it like that. I look at it, it's known for its extremely high quality of products, its incredible innovation, and its superb design. I look at it like that. And that website, I look at it and it tells me that. It's built a strong reputation on those foundations. Its product quality is so important to them. They push out at such a high frequency new products, 2 to 3 times a year, and the occasional surprise that comes.
And that's reflected on the website.
And that's reflected on the website completely. The customers are attracted to the latest technology, their sleek design, and the way that Apple does have this kind of like, infrastructure, this kind of like circle around it. It all syncs with each other. It makes your life easy. It works. It's like an ecosystem. It integrates well into your personal life, What it does do also is when you're going through the site, it gives you a real sense of kind of like confidence in you're making a purchase that's going to fit your lifestyle. But it's all visual. It's really clever the way they do it. They keep everything up to date. Nothing is kind of like old on the site. They keep bringing in a new design or a new color or a new kind of like perspective of how you see an iPhone, for example, or a tablet. But what I do think is really important is that the company used to be like a hardware company. It used to put all its focus on the hardware. How good is the hardware? How good is it going to be? And then they switched that, I think, in the 90s.
With the Think Different
when
campaign.
When they Think Different campaign came around.
Remember we looked at a little clip of it when Steve Jobs, with the pictures of Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali and Maria Callas.
Totally.
Yes,
I mean, they switched from being a hardware company into a consumer-focused company. They put the consumer first, and that goes back to your business idea. It's kind of like it's putting a consumer first. It's not you got bulging brains full of so much knowledge, but you've got to listen to the client and find out what the requirements are to see if you fit together. I often think that sometimes because there are some clients I've worked with that I've actually turned down because I don't fit right with them from the point of view of what they're trying to do. And it's a very brave decision to do, but in the long run, it's the best decision. That's not over a period. That's over a period of time. You don't take people down a long journey and suddenly go, it's not working. You should know right from the beginning, am I the right fit?
Would you refer them to another web designer?
Quite possibly, because I want a good professional outcome to that client. To think in my network of contacts, actually these people are better to work with what your requirement was. They got better experience in this customer relation management tool, for example, or something. It's being. That's what I mean. It's just don't try and do everything. Do what what works for you. In my opinion, that seems to be good because then you get a better churn. You get more clients, and you've done this piece of work.
And they come back and they talk about you good when these clients then
Yeah.
refer you on to someone
Absolutely,
else,
because
and they
you've
say,
been professional,
yeah,
you know.
Exactly, it's professional.
And also the key thing about this is whatever job you're going to do, whatever business you're going to do, document what's going on with the client and definitely create case studies. Case studies are really valuable. It can be a one-page document, you know, what the requirement was, what we did, what the challenges were, what the solution was, and what's the outcome.
And you have these on your website, so we can look at those
So
to see how
interestingly,
to do
on my website, I don't have them, right? I tend to use more LinkedIn for my case studies.
it.
I think it gets bigger, kind of like, because and when you have your website, my website is a brand website. It tells you exactly what I do, how I do it, what services I offer, and I optimize it basically from a call to action perspective to get people to get in contact with me, for me to have that personal touch, and then basically offer them, if you like, exclusive content, which is things like case studies.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I would probably review that if I think I get good feedback from it and start bringing in more kind of like case studies onto my site. But I sometimes find that if you put it out on the right platforms, like we look into social media, you know, Twitter would be of use, or X would be of use, and then Facebook business pages are really useful, and of course LinkedIn is a really
So
nice
LinkedIn
kind of
would-
like
you
platform
say
to use.
that's your number one platform.
Yes, but so do you know what I mean? So again, it's like don't try and do everything.
Yeah.
Try and work what's right for you, because I think you could be logging in and logging out of like 10 different social media platforms and be exhausted before you've even started any work. There are tools that basically propagate. You can go to one platform. I think it's called BuzzSumo. I think one of them is called. I can't remember the exact name, but allows you to have a portal. You go in there and connect all your social media accounts, and you basically then put the same message in, and it works across all the different platforms. But yeah, just going back to Apple, if you like. I mean, I think that it's just a really good example, and it's good to think big. You know, I want to be like Apple. Like, well, why couldn't you be? You know, why couldn't you be? 4 people in this room. Why couldn't you basically put your CV together and just go on their website and put your CV on their website and create a profile? And who knows, in years to come, you might be a match from a point of view of being a person sitting in the college at the moment, actually working for Apple in a sales capacity, in a business development capacity. You know, it's nothing. It's good to aim high. And what I love about the Apple ecosystem is the diversity of the place. You walk in there, all different types of people of all different ages, but they all speak the same language. They all love working at Apple. You can see it in their faces when you interact.
You've been in any of their offices and seen how they work?
I have been mainly in their stores, and I've had a few, been at a few lectures basically when people from Apple have been there, like seminars, etc. Very hard to place to get into unless you're an employee. I would think. You know. There'd probably be a level that you can go into as a member of the public or even as a guest, but to get into the actual, I would think, the spaceship in Palatino, in Cucurino basically would be completely different. But yeah, I just think that there's a company that reassesses its kind of like way it works, you know, and you know, you look at their the Worldwide Developers Conference and you see these kind of like online streams that they do. Every person who presents on those kind of like little mini seminars for each product release, they are so slick. They are so good. They get it so right. And I think it's a really good benchmark to look at, you know, from the point of view thinking, well, maybe I could be like that one day, you know, to think that that's, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got my own website, web design business, but if Apple got in contact with me tomorrow, I'd probably go and work for them. You know, I really would.
Your business on the side.
Do you know what I mean? But because it just feels like it's something that I'm really passionate about, and that's key to everything. Showing passion for your work is really important, you know. And you know, it's nothing worse, I think, and I've done this many times. You know, when you go into a meeting, it's almost like you need to have 5 things you want to talk about, you know, from a business perspective. It's not like a pitch, it's 5 things you want to get across. Otherwise, you tend to kind of like ramble on. and you don't get to the point as to why you're there. I mean, reading a room sometimes. I know I feel like I'm going off on a slight trajectory here, but reading a room sometimes is it's all about, you just got to listen and work it out and observe, and you're a guest in their environment, and they want you here because you've got expertise that you've got to offer,
So if a customer came to you and said, we want our website to look like Apple's website, where would you start with that?
Yeah, great question. That's a really good question. So that would be the technology that they use, okay? So this is when a web developer comes into the mix. So you would sit as the web designer, and you would sit there and think, right, let's talk about the visual identity. Okay, we've got that sorted out from the point of view of the colours, the look and feel, the font type, the headers, and if you like, the rows, the sections, what's going to go on each page. You develop a sitemap. You develop the kind of like, who's going to write the content, because that's a massive thing. Content is everything, because that's what the keywords that you use are going to effectively create the site to be optimized, to be found on Google. Which I'll come to in a bit more about search engine optimization, because in everything we do, there is some sort of optimization that goes on, even in a paragraph of writing that you're having to do for a module. You're optimizing it to be the best you possibly can, to read the best you can. There are tools out there now like ChatGPT that's out there that's giving you a whole bunch of content, which is really good. If you get your prompts right, it can be really helpful. But of course, afterwards, you've then got to humanize it a bit, and change it to as you want. But it's a really beautiful machine. I mean, AI, I'll come back to the question in a second, but AI is like, it's great and it's also bad, because I could sit here and go...
It's only as good as the person writing the
Absolutely. But I could say, there's AI tools out there now that can basically replicate a website, So I've done all my hard work, if you like, and this AI tool base has come along and just replicating what I've done and giving it to a client. But, that's great. But so that's a good thing that the technology is advancing. The bad thing is it could affect the workforce from the point of view of humans, if you like.
Well, that's very real.
Yes, and there are certain jobs you can see it happening, but the art of conversation will never be able to do that, if you like.
That's right.
For the seeable future, anyway. Elon Musk seems to think differently, and that's great. But I think that we're on this planet for a reason, to communicate with each other. So just going back to the Apple website, you got your structure, your sitemap, what's going to go on each page, and maybe we use ChatGPT basically to create a whole bunch of content for each pages. But we're trying to be unique and different. I sometimes get frustrated, and I do it myself to a degree, that we have a standard website, it says home, about, services, contact. I try to bring a slightly different angle into it. I tend to blog a lot on my site. That's the one thing I tend to do. So there is some case studies or discussions on there that I've had about what I've done. But I tend to write a post and I optimize it, because I feel with what I do in the competitive market that's out there for web design, if you typed in web design West London, you'd probably get 8 million results, on Google. So it's kind of like, I like to develop a connection of, if you like, mavens. Have you ever heard of the word mavens before? Mavens is like an expert in a certain area. So, and I like to blog, if you like. I like to put posts up there about stuff that I find really, inspiring. So it's a whole mix of stuff on there. So we've got our sitemap, we've got our rows, we've got our content, okay? And we know how many pages we're going to have. The next thing to do is, what's going to happen on those pages? Are we just going to have standard block colours with some nice font on top of it? Are we going to have a carousel? Are we going to have an accordion? Are we going to have kind of like a tab mechanism? All these different things, how it's all going to work. Remembering, ultimately, it's all going to be optimised for tablet and for mobile. It's probably the key golden rule that you should never break, because most people tend to kind of like, enjoy looking at accessing the web now. Probably 80% of us are accessing the web on mobile, to a degree, I would have thought. It's just convenient, it's comfort, it works, we've got 5G and so on. There's real benefits for it. But when it comes to kind of like, something called parallax, for example, which is when an image stays at the front but the background's moving behind it, for example.
Yes.
That's all good, it all looks nice. There's a point you can go to from web design that it works, and then you might want to have each slide behind it changing colours, for example, or bringing a different image, or making something animate. You want to get a piece of illustration in there. And this is when you have to kind of, if you like, draw the line a little bit and think, actually, that sits within a development budget. So there's a web design budget, and there's the development budget, because it actually might be time to hop over to the developer, and I've got 3 or 4 really good developers that I work with, and say, right, this is your bag, because they do it quickly, they do it effectively, and basically it makes myself present to the client at a convenient point, going, we did that for you, exactly what you wanted, and they go, great, that didn't take long to do. So it's sometimes worth employing the services of a third-party contact that's reliable. And they don't have to be in the same street as you. They could be out in Bali, they could be out in Australia, they could be India. As long as you've got that right contact and the trust aspect is there, you're going to develop.
And the e-commerce, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, and then you get to a place when you're ready to test. You're ready to test. The site's not live, it's on a platform ready to be tested, give access to the clients, and then you get your first draft, your first feedback, if you like. But you start with the homepage. I mean, that's where you start. You start with the homepage. Getting that right, getting that flow, getting that pop, if you like, ready for the clients. And always having a slight point of difference towards what else is out there. I think it's really important. And being clear as to the clients what sits inside web design versus what sits inside development. Do you know what I mean? What comes out of the box, if you like, from a web design perspective, and what will require some customization, some HTML or some sort of JavaScript and so on, that kind of thing. But sorry, you'd like to ask a question?
Do you suggest like they add like a dark mode?
Say again?
Do you suggest your customers that you should add like a dark mode?
Yeah, I mean, dark mode is lovely to look at. Apple do it well. A lot of people say it's hard to read on dark mode sometimes. We're not all kind of like blessed with 20/20 vision. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes it can be a challenge for some of us to see. I tend to keep my sites very clean, light, and bright. I like to do that. I like to use lots of colours. I think colours for me is something that really gives a real identity. For sure. So you get to a staging point of view when you're ready to test, and you get your emails all sorted out, and you get your hosting all sorted out, and then basically you set it live. So a brand website can be a straightforward process as long as you've got your foundations built, and you haven't overcomplicated things, and you've asked the right questions, which are things like, have you got a domain? Have you got any hosting? Who's going to look after your email? Who's going to optimize the site? Have you written your content? Have you got terms and conditions? Have you got privacy policies? Have you looked into GDPR? All those kind of things are important. They're boring for clients, but they're important because you need to protect your business, you need to protect your website, and obviously as a web design business, I would have some sort of agreement or contract basically with the clients saying it's going to take 30 days to build, it's going to take 1 week to test, and it's going to take another 2 weeks, if you like, basically to refine, and then it's going to take another week or so to launch. And then we do a soft launch, and then we do an official launch. So we get to a place that we're like movement all the time. Hitting timelines is really important. I'm sure you're learning a lot about timelines in your course. There must be a module in there, I would thought, somewhere.
It's getting our head around assessments and things.
Okay.
Well, tell us about some of the mistakes that you see businesses make over and over, especially startup businesses when they get to, they come to you and they say, right, my website needs fixing, or I need to start over, get a website design. What are they not thinking about? I mean, you just mentioned a few of those things, you know, GDPR.
Yeah. So, I've kind of this is interesting because if you don't make a mistake, we never learn. Completely right in this. And sometimes, you know, you miss here, you don't understand what the client wants, and you think you do, but you go off and you do the work and actually you miss the point completely. That's okay, as long as you admit you've made a mistake and you just need to prepare it. I think, from a web design perspective, it's neglecting mobile optimization is one of the things, you know, that you if you neglect it, you're going to miss out on a really good experience, because if your website doesn't load nicely on mobile, then people are just going to go somewhere else and find someone else to do the work for you. Website speed is really key as well. That's a mistake that has changed a lot. I would say when we first started building websites, these things weren't important, but now they really are. So when I say website speed, I mean if you've got 15 pictures on your website and they look lovely, but they're also very large pictures, even at 1 meg in size, that's still really heavy file for a website to load. So when I call designinternet.co.uk and bang, basically the website loads, it loads quickly because I've minimized my pictures, I've compressed my pictures. They still retain the same quality, but they've just been compressed by tools that are available for you online that make the file size smaller, therefore allowing your site to load fast. And Google loves that, big tick from Google, if you've got a fast website. So, it's key. And also the other thing is as well, don't make it complicated in a navigation point of view, your menu. Don't make a complex navigation. There are e-commerce websites out there that do really well. There's lots of information to go out there. Let's take a fashion brand, ASOS. They sell hundreds of thousands of pieces of items of clothing. But you go on there, you want to buy yourself a shirt, or you want to buy yourself a pair of trainers. They make it easy for you to actually find it on like a mega menu. It's done really clever. It's really, really beautifully done. There's solutions out there. Someone knows how to fix that. It's understanding how that works. Therefore, as a web designer, I like the look of that. How do I do that? As a developer, we can do that. I know how to do that. Do you know what I mean? So you pull on the resources of people around you to help you, instead of getting overwhelmed, if you like, and working for what you're good at and what you're not good at. That's kind of my mantra today, if you like. Work at what you're good at and not what and bring you troubles. Yes, please.
Now, say when you go on a website and you say something that could be, say, improved on, what would you do to get that information across to the people that deal with such a thing?
Absolutely.
Because there are things I see that I wish that would want to be changed.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should email that company directly or.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Any client coming to me that's already got a website, and I'd look at their website and see how I can improve on that by analysing the site. And that would be effectively starting from, looking at what I've just mentioned there, optimize mobile website speed. So there are tools out there that will allow you to enter the domain name of the website you're looking at, you press run, and it will analyze a site and tell you basically, A, is it optimized correctly? Can Google find it? B, is it got the correct call to action, if you like? Why am I on that site, and am I convinced basically to press a button to go to the next stage? I think, too much copy sometimes, too much content on a site can basically blur the mind, if you like. A blog is really designed to go long and deep into kind of like, a post and talk passionately about something. Whereas a brand website selling services should be punchy, should be fast, should be, you get your point across really quickly. And I think key thing is as well is that not many people tend to look at analytics. How much traffic you're getting, what are the popular pages. You can put all your effort and energy into designing a really good services page, talking about what we offer, but no one's looking at it. There's no traffic to it. But there is a lot of traffic, if you like, to
the about page.
To the about page, for example, because everyone will find out more about you. So that tells me, bring some more of that content from the about page on the home page. Because the homepage ultimately, at the end of the day, gets the most traffic. The sub pages get a little bit, but not as much. It depends how deep you go. So I mean, approaching a client actually to tell them basically how you could improve your client is a really intelligent thing to do and a real mature thing to do, because you've actually took some time to look at a brand, actually say, I don't really like the way that's laid out, it doesn't help me, because they want to hear that feedback. I mean, listening to the user. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, when you come to do the testing, as I just mentioned about launching a site, you want 4 or 5 people you can put that website in front of to tell them and ask them what they think about it, how they like it, is it working for you, what's their perception? Because you're so engrossed with the design aspect of it, you're so engrossed with the content you've got, the images and making it look nice, that you are now ready to find a bit about some feedback, which is a really personal thing to take. You've done all that creativity, you've thought well and long and hard about how things are going to look, but actually someone says, I don't like that colour. You want to know why they don't like that colour. You know, there's a reason. There are on big kind of like corporate websites, there's a reason why a call to action button where it says click here is a certain colour. You know, because they've done their research. It's called A/B testing, if you like. They've done their research. Say, should it be yellow or should it be orange? And you put 2 screens in front of people, and basically you see the analysis as to which one they go for, and you find out actually that yellow is overcoming orange. So yellow is a better colour to use, if you like, from the point of view of kind of like for this particular example. You know, small thing, but really important thing, because that yellow button that says click here might lead to a sale, might lead to some sort of kind of like analytics on their side, or might lead to some sort of lead generation, if you like. You know, they've taken an interest in going a stage further, so there could be potential there to have a conversation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like, you know, in terms of from like, okay, the client, this is what the client wants and then we create it. You know, like the testing period that you said, like, who does the testing? Like, is it a bunch of people, like random people, and they test it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can be, yeah. I mean, there are these testing pools basically you can tap into. You could ask another web designer. You know, you could ask, just to see what they think. It's often good to share with your peers sometimes what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's some trusted source, of course, but you know, you probably want people that you don't really have a long-term friendship with. You know, you want someone that you might say to the client you're building for, say, can you give me 3 people basically that you trust their opinion, and they will be given a private link and they can check it out. And they can get the feedback from that, which is valuable, really valuable. You know.
Just imagine that there was some website you could go to submit your thing, and they would have testers there.
There probably is. There probably is. But I mean, I tend to use the connections of humans for that. You know what I mean? I want people to kind of give me some valuable feedback, and obviously controlled as well. You know, you go to them with a series of questions saying, what do you think of this particular part of the site? Not all the site, part of the site. You control it a bit. Because you know that's the important bit that you want to gain that lead generation. I mean, I say we talk a bit about SEO. Are we familiar with search engine optimization? How that works?
Talk to us about that and online advertising. Those are 2 big things that I have struggled to. Yeah. Let's talk about search engine.
Yeah. So
is that like when it just you're making sure that it's like one of the first things to come up on like the first page of Google?
Yeah. So you're ultimately. Anyone that says to you, I can get you on page 1, rank 1, you know, walk away, you know, because, you know, it's a very competitive game out there. You'll notice there are 2 types of advertising opportunities, if you like, on Google. One of them is paid. So there's loads of suite of tools that Google offer and Bing offer and Yahoo offer. There's Yandex, there's loads of different tools, commercial tools, which is why these companies are probably some of the richest companies in the world, that basically want you to bid on a keyword to basically appear in the search results at the top as a sponsored link. And then underneath that is an organic list, which is a free option. You're aiming for organic. For my clients, I'm aiming for organic and some sponsored if they require, but organic, so it's natural results. But how do you do that? You know, how do you get there? So you've got a website, okay, and your homepage is full of keywords you've researched. Let's take your example of financial services, okay? So the keywords have to be analysed and researched about your business idea. Financial services, financial information, financial products, financial consultant. So there's 8 keywords I've just given you examples. But you can bet your bottom dollar those keywords are very, very popular and very expensive to buy. And do you know what I mean? They're not unique. They're very competitive.
You have to buy
I don't understand.
So I'll come to that in a second.
Go ahead.
So point is, what I'm talking about is organic at the moment. I'm talking about using the right keywords on your website.
So if you
that you're
don't
gonna
buy
rank
these
for.
keywords, you can't use them on the website?
No. You can write any content you want using any keywords that are popular in the market based in and around your business.
Okay. So
Okay.
when you're talking about buying keywords, you mean?
Keywords is paid for advertising.
Got it.
Sponsored advertising. I'll come to that in a second.
Right.
But this is an organic message. So you're creating copy to plug in those keywords that people are searching for on Google. So we could go to Google's homepage and we could just type in the word financial and you'll see other words appear underneath. They're popular search keywords at the moment. So you've got to take those words and put them on your website within a natural sounding paragraph. You know, it's clever.
So, but this is the job of the copywriter.
Could be a copywriter, yeah. It probably is a copywriter, yeah. SEO copywriter. It's different. Copywriter could write for magazines. An SEO and books, for example. An SEO copywriter writes specifically using keywords as its structure.
Okay.
So you want to aim to have like 15, 20 keywords in your business sector that people are searching for. And on some of those links and those examples that come up, you'd click on them and see what people are doing already. And then you could start looking at the keyword research, keyword analysis. So you're creating, if you like, a long list of keywords you're going to use organically. You're going to create content on your homepage. So what you've done there is you've created a chance to appear in search results. There are other kind of like attributes you need to bring into the game. So your focused keyword, financial consultations, for example. Financial consultant, for example, is what we'll go with this example. That needs to be one of the first words on your website, on your slider, for example, or as a header, as an H1 tag. That's the first thing Google's going to see. It's going to see, what is this website about? You know, so your financialconsultant.com, for example. So the domain's there, the domain name's there. It's got the keyword in the domain name. It's got the page name, basically, is called financial consultant, and also the header's called financial consultant. Google will get it. As you go through, we consult on financial products and services. Contact us for your financial consultant, for free consultant service, if you like, you know, or review, something like that. So suddenly you're building a page with content offering a service there. And then around that, you're putting relevant images that are compressed, so the page loads fast. Okay, you're offering a contact form to get a bit further into the kind of conversation. You're offering a survey. Can I take you to this next website, this third-party tool I've employed, to basically ask 10 questions about what you're trying to achieve with your business, and you get your survey results back from them. And suddenly you've got a picture of a requirement of what the client's after. Now, that's one aspect of it, but as you can imagine, financial consultants, right, is a very competitive place. So everyone's trying to outdo each other. So how do I get to the top of Google search results? And effectively, you're talking about online advertising, and this is something which is, you've probably heard of something called Google Ads, all right?
AdSense, right?
Yeah, AdSense, exactly, totally right. And it operates a pay-per-click model. So you have to have some money to do this, okay? An overview how it works is is an auction system. All right, so Google Ads operates, if you like, on advertisers bidding on keywords relevant to their business. So someone out there, you go into AdSense, and the keywords financial consultant is what you're going after. So you type it in the search bar, hit return, and it'll come back with all the variations, including financial consultant, on the list, and tell you how much, bless you, how much those keywords cost to purchase over a period of time. And you build a little ad around it. So it could be that you're going to put in, you know, £500, okay, for those keywords, right? And basically over a period of 2 weeks, and every day, you'll assign a certain amount of money each day for your ad to appear in Google. But someone might outbid you, so you've got to be on the ad. This is why, you know, you've got to keep an eye on the dashboard, because someone's basically, I've locked in that keyword for £7.58 or $7.58 to appear in my designed ad, basically, because you go into the software and you design the advert that you want, normally a text-based ad of some sort. And it, you know, Google takes a lot of different types of perspectives here. You know, it considers the relevance, the quality of the ad, where that link's going to take you to. There's going to be a link in the ad. Where's it going to go to? And if it goes to a page that looks pretty average, it's going to give the financial consultant who's got the better page the priority of appearing higher than you, if you like, on Google. But it's all about relevance. It's all about relevance when it comes to kind of like, you know, paid for advertising. You know, there are so many different solutions that they offer. You know, is just basically a standard kind of like text ad correct for me? And probably is for most people in this particular environment.
Would this be like advertisements being of the same industry? So say if you're on what's the website, well, like IG and one that displays media, so the advertisements would be media itself. It wouldn't be something like an oil company or.
Yeah, exactly. But in and around you would have similar kind of competitors. If we're looking, if I'm the consumer and I'm the user and I sit down and type in financial consultant, then I'd hit return and I get basically about 4 or 5 different sponsored ads, and then I might get a Google business profile listing or a map, for example, of the top 3 that Google sees as being the best ranked tools because they followed Google's rules.
Yes.
And underneath will be the organic ones, and then at the bottom might be some more sponsored ones. So there's all these different spots around the page that is available to be purchased for in Google's eyes. But it's all about, as I say, relevance and kind of like what happens is how that £500 is reduced. Is if I'm the user and you've paid $7.58 for that advert to be on there. I'm the user and I click on that. That's $7.58 has come off your $500 budget. You've been charged. I've been charged, not the consumer, but the client, financial consultant company, has been charged $7.58. So I've capped, say, $100 a day. Okay, it's a 5-day campaign, let's say. $100 a day. I don't know how many people, well, I want to know how many people are searching for financial consultants. That's the key thing. I want to know the traffic on a daily basis. Google's ad tool will tell you that, how popular it is on a daily basis.
What always bothers me about that is that your competitor, sorry, we're into the last 5 minutes, so I'm just going to stop for a minute. If your competitor knows that you've got this, that you have to pay for these clicks, so what if they just keep clicking and clicking and clicking?
So that used to be a case that did happen, and yes, your $500 went in 5 minutes because the competitor saw a business and thought, I know what that means.
Yes.
It's a paid for ad. And started clicking it, and you know, and then Google put a stop to that because they looked at the IP address, it's coming from the same IP. Do you know what I mean? So it knew basically something was fishy, something was up.
Oh, that's a relief.
But you know, is it worth it for small startups, if you like? So that's what you'll be. You'll be a startup business, you know, if you like going for it. You know, yes, to a degree, there is a level of kind of like, you know, intelligence in doing that, because what it can do is it can give you quick results if you were to go down there. You start getting traffic. Theoretically, you want to make sure that your whole website has been optimized correctly. The whole website, every page, every keyword. And as I say, it's not the end. You just started your website here. This is just going out to the marketplace. So you could, you know, budget control. You get quick results. You get targeted advertising. If you're not optimized correctly for financial consultants, you could be anywhere. You come under the word of consultants or consult or consulting, you know, but it's not necessarily targeted.
Is the main target like making sure that your website is part of that thing? So say like if you search a question on Google and say, I don't know, who's won the most, which country's won the world, sorry, who has won the most World Cups?
Yeah.
And that big box in Google shows the main information and some description along with it, with the website. That would be like the main aim, right?
Would that be
Would that be like the main aim of any?
Yeah, absolutely, totally. I mean, relevance. If I was to type in like, you know, web design Ealing, you know, that's where I live. I live in Ealing. So, you know, I would hope basically that I would come up on the search results. That's my aim. That's what I'm looking for. And not only once, but also more than once if I've got other pages, like landing pages, for example, which is something that is completely a bit more of a cost per acquisition. You know, a landing page is effectively a page that sits within your website or on the internet, but actually doesn't appear in your navigation. So it's related to a campaign, to a newsletter campaign or something like that, you might say that. But you know, I would say that small businesses, if like startups, would have a limited budgets, right? So, you know, you've got to make sure it's crucial to optimize campaigns to get a maximum return on investment, if you like, you know. And if you want to find out more about this, there's a really, really cool tool that I think it's called this still now, Google runs, called Digital Garage, right? Which is free.
Yeah, they had one at Ealing North, done at Ealing Trail Finders. First or second session, and I did some recordings from it.
Okay, right.
Yeah. They come every now and again.
Yeah, they do. So it's an online. It's also an online tutorial library, if you like, of anything you want to learn about the internet. And there's search engine optimization there. There'll be Google Ads in there, and loads of different things. But if you're going to set up a business, I mean, I would sum it up by saying that, you know, your online opportunity is enormous. You know, a lot of people out there have already done what you're doing to a degree. Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you haven't got your own spin on it. You know, but it's about the keyword research. That's the golden rule I'd leave behind with you. Making sure if you're going to get a new client, you want to show an ability to kind of say that these are the words that your website would rank for on Google, because you do all this work. The website could just be one pager. It could be 20 pages. It could be an e-commerce site, 10,000 pages, 100,000 products. But the key thing is that you want to make sure that website is found in search results. And I think that having compelling content, compelling copy, beautiful looking images that you're proud of, not just images, all right, that you're proud of, even your own images you've taken with, or got someone who's a photographer to take for you, just something that means something to you. Landing pages is really key in that you're trying to create a small, chunky, effective message to gain and acquire clients via inquiries online. Test, right, and test. Just because you've launched your site, it should be a passion of yours to add to it, continue to add to it. Another chance to get a whole new bunch of keywords to give a different perspective for what you're doing. Talk about what you're passionate about, because that keeps the hunger. Rejection's tough in business, and I found it. I've had my pitch for so many things, but that didn't come off. It's funny. A friend of mine told me this once. It's like kissing a lot of frogs to find the prince. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
true. There's a lot of frogs out there, not many princes. So, do you know what I mean? So, and monitor, adjust, use analytics, become a tech person or an intelligent process person, if you like. Do you know what I mean? I think, instead of, here's my website, why am I getting any kind of traffic? I'm dealing with a moment with a client of mine who's an artist. We built a lovely e-commerce website, and they wanted to manage it. They haven't made a good job of it, so I've got to fix it a little bit because they're not appearing online, or they're appearing online, but they're not converting sales at the moment because it's a competitive industry selling art online. They're really a small local artist, but we've still got to work on getting each page optimized correctly. And when you've got 200 products, it's a lot of work to do. But that's fine. We'll get there. But you won't get immediate you'll get immediate search results if you've done you followed the right formula and you've used Google's tools like analytics and Search Console and webmaster tools, all those kind of things, to get it verified. Because everything has to be verified nowadays. We live in that world when it's two-step login details. We're coming on, and soon it'll be passwordless world we live in. There'll be eye retina or it'll be fingerprint stuff. It's coming.
Mark, there's so much.
There's so much. I would say I'd probably have to come back again to do some more, if you want me to.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate all the knowledge you share with us. It gives us so much insight into. Wait, before I get into the thank you and everything, is there anything? I know y'all are going to need to go off soon. Probably should have gone off already. But is anything else that we wanted to touch on? Ask Mark.
Some questions. What do you think about do-it-yourself website design, things like SquareSpace or?
It's a great question. Great question. There are different levels you go up, right? So you could start with WordPress.com, which is free. You could move into Wix, or you could go into SquareSpace, or you could go into so many of them out there. Okay, they're all great, and to get your message across, I think they're a brilliant first stage. And help you understand how websites, content management systems work. The only thing is you just get to a limited place what you can do with it from the point of view of customizing it. Then you go to things like Bricks Builder, Elementor, Divi, all these different types of visual page builders that become really intelligent and really, you can build great websites with these things. There's no stopping where you can go with them because it allows the developers to come in and start helping.
Nice.
Wix, SquareSpace, limited, but budget affordable. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you want. Do you know what I mean? And gaining confidence. And everything has a certain place that you require. I think it's making the right decision as to where you are in your life and your business.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Question. Well, I really appreciate you sharing, your journey and how you got to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, and giving us that insight from an online business perspective, because it's easy to figure out businesses when you can see them, in the shops or in the shopping mall or whatever. But to get that insight from a business that's operated online and how you get clients and how you build your business is very, very valuable for us here. So thank you. We just got you a tiny present in his design color.
Thank you very much.
Mark, you got every day with his dog. I'm sure you've got an air tag on your dog.
I haven't actually, but I'm going to get one now. Definitely. That's a lovely present. Thank you so much.
Little thing
thank
the
you.
air tag in.
I love it. What a great idea. Thanks very much. I love it.
So
Thank you.
again.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, sorry, Danusha's here. So